Woo! What is up, guys? Frosty here with yet another video coming live from the Limit Break Gamers apartment. This time, I'm doing a full playthrough of the first Wipeout for PSX. This will roughly run you about 20 minutes of your life. So if you want to bear with me to watch the entire game get played through on the highest speed class, which was Rapier in this game, we'll go ahead and do that. For those of you who aren't aware, Wipeout is probably my most favorite series of all games ever. I'm a huge Wipeout fan. I'm surprised I haven't even done any Wipeout videos yet. So this is actually the first one that I'm going to be doing. I did have a lot of old Wipeout videos on my old channel, but I never transferred them over. So here we go. I used to use Fizar all the time for Rapier class. They're a very slow ship, but I started traveling around to do tournaments, local, kind of tournaments, just with groups of friends that are big fans of Wipeout, people from WipeoutZone.com and whatnot. And I learned that to actually really compete with the best of them and to actually do really well in the tournaments, you need to either be using Oricom or AG systems, at least for this version of the game. Fizar is not going to do it for you when you're playing against the really good players. So this track is actually one of the first experience I ever had with Wipeout was actually this track right here. If anybody remembers the original PSX bundle that you were able to buy when it released around Christmas time, they had a it was like a purple and silver type CD, and it was a PlayStation Pix deal. There was demos on it, Wipeout being one of those demos. So this track was featured on that demo. You're actually able to do one lap of this race on the slow speed class, and that was it. From that moment on, I was pretty hooked on Wipeout. So years later, I'm still playing it, and I'm still pretty decent. This whole video was done on kind of a whim. I haven't really played it much since the last time I had a tournament in Vermont where we go to play. So I'm a bit rusty. Like I said, I kind of just did this to do it. I could probably beat the game in the fastest speed class in about 20 minutes, so why not make a video and then talk about that video. But this track is actually pretty fun. It's gotten a couple remakes through Wipeout Pure. Gave it a psychedelic kind of look. But when you're using a fast ship like Oricom on these tracks, even though the tracks are really wide, you've always got to plan your turns ahead of time. You always want to start air braking and turning before the corners in this game, because it was very floaty. It's not like Wipeout HD, as much as you're probably aware. If you guys haven't really gotten into the Wipeout series until recently, you've played Wipeout HD, it's very sticky. The ships tend to stick to the tracks pretty well. They don't really slide around. But in the older Wipeout games, they were very floaty, and they slid everywhere. So you always had to anticipate your cornering and your air braking ahead of time. I kind of wish they kept this this style for the newer Wipeouts. It was actually a lot more challenging and fun, especially portions of the track like this are very thin, and you really had to get your turning and perfect it to get those parts perfect, which was very difficult back then. Now if you play a track like Vinny Decay and Wipeout HD or something, yeah, it's a thin track, but it's pretty easy to navigate, because like I said, your ship will stick to the track, even using Kyrex or Piranha or Icarus, the really sluggish guys around corners. If you turn right, you'll swing right through it. You don't have to plan ahead too much. Second track, Carbonus, is actually one of my favorites. It's very whimsical if you can get the flow right, especially at the end with the last chicanes that you go through. Also, the boost at the beginning, I'm not going to get it that much in this video. I don't even think I got it at all. But you basically, unless you have a Nedgecon controller, which I do have but I didn't use for this video, It's very difficult to get your throttle just right at the beginning of the race to get that speed boost. It's not like in the newer Wipeouts where it says, you know, in pure pulse and and HD, it basically says go, and right as you hear the go, you hit your button, your thrust, and you get your speed boost. In this game, it was actually more of a timing thing if you had a controller. And basically what you want to do is you want to slam on your thrust button right as the announcer says 1 in the countdown, and that will bring your thrust up just enough to get you that speed boost at the beginning. You usually take a couple places right off the starting grid by getting it. It's not that big of a deal if you could race the track pretty well. The speed boost isn't gonna drastically affect you in terms of actually winning the race, but it is cool to get it off the bat if you can. But like I was saying with the NedgeCon, it's much easier to do. Basically, since you could set the thrust to a analog button, you could literally just kind of press the button in just enough to get your thrust bar right to where the at the bottom right, if you see your acceleration, your thrust bar there, right as it starts to peak at its highest point at the top of it, that's where you want your thrust to be to get the speed boost. So basically you'll just hold the button down on the NedgeCon just far enough in so that the thrust stays at that point, and you'll get the boost every time. It's much easier to do. Obviously the controller's a lot harder to get used to use it if you've never used one before. Excuse me. But if you can get it down, it makes for a beautiful racing experience. But like I said, I'm using a controller. When I go to the tournaments, I usually don't use a NedgeCon either. I tend to use the D-pad a lot, even for the newer games. That, like Wipeout 3, you were able to use analog sticks. I still wasn't into that. I just like classic D-pad. Wipeout HD, I use the D-pad for everything. All Wipeouts, I've always used the D-pad. I've never liked the joystick, and the NedgeCon's fun, but in Wipeout XL and Wipeout 3, I just can't get it. Especially if you're racing with Piranha and Wipeout XL, the super ship. You can't just pick it up and be like, oh, I'm good with this ship. It takes a lot of practice, and to use the NedgeCon with that ship takes a lot, even more practice. Well, this track is a bit of a doozy here in this tunnel. Unless you turn the brightness up on your TV, the tunnel in Terramax, the one I just passed through, can be quite the hassle unless you memorize the track. To hit that last corner right, again, it requires a lot of planning ahead of time to hit it just right. I'm hitting walls all over the place here. I'm fucking up. I really got to make up some time on my next laps, but that's alright. I'll make it happen. Like I said, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I'm definitely way better than what's going on right here. I just haven't played in a while, really seriously, so just kind of wanted to do this for the hell of it. But I promise you, I do win. I will win at the end. So yeah, this is a pain in the ass part of the track I was talking about. You gotta be really. I'm gonna slam walls left and right here because I'm fucking up and I can't see shit. But those corners like that, all those corners you need to anticipate. The only ship in this game that you don't have to really anticipate corners with is Physar, because the turning is just absurdly sensitive. You could swing around any corner at top speed and not worry about it. But anything over that, you want to anticipate. Not so much AG systems, but still a little bit. Talk about the music of this game. A legendary man named Tim Wright, aka Cold Storage, produced the entire soundtrack for this title in the Wipeout series. He is still continuing to do music nowadays, and it's still as awesome as ever. He does produce a lot of music on the side, other than his gaming soundtracks. He distributes them from his website as digital downloads and whatnot. Kind of wish he would actually release CDs for them, but he hasn't done that. I think he's done it with maybe a few releases, but he did the entire soundtrack for this game, like I said, which is a great soundtrack. I still bump it, now and again. It's got that really old vintage Euro dance scene type music going on. For the later Wipeouts, he still produced tracks for them, but he wasn't the only artist on the game soundtracks. Ended up slimming out a lot of his soundtracks for the newer Wipeouts. He only had the 1 or 2 tracks on each game, and actually no tracks on Wipeout HD, but you're able to put in your own soundtrack for that game anyways. So if you wanted to, you could bump his beats whenever you wanted it. In any case, he actually produced some music for some other games too, like Gravity Crash. He did the music for that, which is another great soundtrack and another cool game to check out. Maybe I'll do a video of that sometime. This track right here, Cordera, is actually one of the longest tracks in the game. It's kind of technical. It can get technical at parts, but for the most part it's pretty straightforward. There's a few awkward turns that almost try and set you up to hit the wall as you go through them. They put a lot of speed boosts right on the edges, so if you don't know the track again, you're going to hit one of those speed boosts thinking you're going to go, fly right through, and boom, you're going to hit a wall. This jump right here, you want to nose down before you go to that before you hit that banner. If you don't nose down or you nose up for whatever reason, you're gonna get picked up by the the wuss wagon, as I call it, and some of the other people call it the Travis wagon at the tournaments that I go to if I ever get hit with one. But basically, it's gonna pick you up out of the air and drag you back to the course, basically kind of saying, "Oh man, you suck," And it's time consuming, and sometimes depending on where you get picked up, sometimes the game will glitch and you'll actually be stuck in the air for like 10 extra seconds and it totally blow a race for you. So nose down on that jump, and don't nose up. I always take the left path on that split. I just feel like the extra speed boost and the weapon pad that's on that side was always pretty ideal for coming out of those corners. After that jump that I was just talking about, I'll show you when I get up there again. There's a series of corners that you're going to bounce around a little bit as you go. And basically, if you just tap your air brake to the left or to the right and then to the left, you'll swing right through it without a hassle. It looks more intimidating than it is. And right here, just twist left early and hit those 3 speed pads and hit the other 3. You could let off your thrust a little bit if you want, or if you don't want to, just nose up a lot and start turning early on this last hairpin turn there. And you'll come out nice and clean to the starting grid. Weapons in this game, pretty cool weapons. They've kept a lot of them through the years for the newer games, as you've probably already noticed. The rocket is not really just a straight attack anymore that shoots forward once. It's now 3 that shoot out, and there's no lock-on for it, just like in the newer Wipeouts. The homing missile in this game does lock on, along with the shockwave, which is not in the newer Wipeouts at all, except for it was in they had the impulse beam in pure, and it did like a random kind of status effect to the person, and then it was kind of interesting. It was a different rendition of that weapon. There was also multiplayer exclusive weapons in this game that were only available if you were playing 2-player on a system link. One of them was called the Revcon, and what it did was when you locked onto your opponent, it would actually, as soon as it hit, it was like a missile. It was like a homing missile, exactly like a homing missile. You lock on and go for it, and as soon as it hit, what it would do is reverse their controls. So as soon as it made impact, their controls were immediately reversed. And that's been many a downfall of races for some people, getting hit with a Revcon on the last corner or something. You save one and get up right next to them for the last corner. You hit them unexpected, and they go to turn, and they turn the wrong way, and the race is yours. That's a big game winner for multiplayer games if you guys are ever into playing that. The other one, not so great unless you're in front and you want to stay in front for a while. If you're playing against somebody that's really good. It's the weird looking smiley face. And what it does is when you pick it up, you use it, and it locks the other person out of picking up any weapon pads for an extended period of time. Now what this means for the person behind you is that basically if you could stay in front of them and use those weapons, they're not going to be able to come back at you with anything, and they're not going to be able to turbo to catch up, and they're not going to be able to hit you with any weapons. They're not going to be able to shield from mines. So if you get lucky and you pick up a couple of them when they're tailing you, that's another game winner right there, as long as you could race well and stay in front of them. So Gyarados is probably my second favorite track in this game, this track right here. The beginning is a little bit awkward. It kind of forces you to be really cautious and slow right off the bat. It's got a lot of these bumps. Nosing up just a little bit over the first one will pop you over the second one nice, and then you go through the rest of them smooth. And right here you got to be really a lot of air braking, a lot of early air braking, just swinging yourself through each corner here, and then you come out on this hill. I like to use a turbo up this hill sometimes, and I always nose down on this one a little bit and then float when I hit the bottom. And I find the fastest route in this track is the right path, because you hit the first speed pad, then those two, then the one I just hit, and it kind of, well, when you do it right, it just fucked up, but when you do it right, you'll come out of that and come right into this tunnel. It'll set you up perfectly. Another good place to use turbo in this track is when you hit that corner right where I just did, and you turbo down this stretch, and turning right makes for probably the sickest cornering ever. It looks so badass when you get it right. But the rest of the track is pretty easy after that. It's just a couple really short turns, and you hit the grid again. The most difficult part, like I said, is the beginning, those beginning corners. And once you get the the track split down, I mean, the only time you might lose a couple seconds is in this tunnel if you're not sure about taking these corners properly. I can't stop coughing. Yeah, that's, like I said, where I use my turbo right there. That's the ideal place to use it. So here you go. Yep, through that shortcut. And beautiful. If you also notice too, some of the advertisements, some of the billboards that you see in this game are actually for some of the ships, some of the teams, like Kyrex, Vizar, everything like that. But there's also some really interesting ones. Some of them are made up, and some of them are actually from other games that were released for PlayStation, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, the team logos, they're scattered throughout the game. There were only four original teams that are still out today. Obviously, you have Vizar, AG Systems, Oricom, and Kyrex. Those are the only four ships that have been in every single Wipeout since the first one, obviously, because they didn't add any new ones. I mean, they added new ones after this one, but they weren't in the first one. There's been so many different teams throughout the series, and I'm hoping with Wipeout 2048 they actually bring some of those back. That's another reason why I kind of wanted to do this video too, is Wipeout 2048 kind of around the corner. I'm getting a PlayStation Vita on the first day, and that will be a day one buy for me. I'm getting Wipeout 2048. That's just, there's no way around. Like, I have to get Wipeout 2048. So I'm gonna be doing crazy ass videos for that. And if you guys are into this whole Wipeout video thing that I'm doing now, I'll do the other games too. I'll do Wipeout 1 for Saturn if you want, for Sega Saturn if you want. I'll do Wipeout XL. I'll do Wipeout 2097. I'll do Wipeout 3. I have all of them. I'll do Fusion. I'll do Pure. I'll do Pulse. Like I said, I have every game. I have a few copies of every game. So I'll definitely do more of them if you guys are into the old Wipeout videos, just for the hell of it, you know, for a little retro style shit. Silverstream. This track actually I won me the Wipeout 1 portion of the tournament a year back, or I'm sorry, 2 years ago. Basically, the split course, the split track that you want to take is you want to go left, then you want to go right, left. So your first split, you go right. I'm sorry, you go left, and then you go right, and then you go left again. Right here, the last split, if you get it right, you could swing through that whole thing and hit all the speed pads, and it'll bring you right onto the straight, which is a good time to use a turbo right before hitting these corners. And not hitting the walls, but hitting the corners right. This part, don't stay on the inside here. Those speed pads will be your downfall because you'll go right into a wall. There's almost no way around saving yourself. And the amount that you would have to slow down to compensate for hitting the speed pad around that corner is just going to slow you down enough to where the speed pads wouldn't have mattered anyways, so don't bother going for them. That first turn there is pretty awkward. The game actually swings you onto the track when you go to turn there. Like, you don't think you're going to make the turn, but it's weird. The game, like, magnetizes you to the track and pushes you around that corner, so it's not as dangerous as it looks. And that hairpin corner right after that, what you want to do there is you want to turn really early, basically as soon as you hit the two speed pads on the inside. And if you do it right, you get the turn perfect when the message on the screen that it says wrong turn will actually show up. because for a split second you'll actually be turning so much that you'll be almost backwards, and that's actually how you should take the corner. By, you know, if you do it right, that's how you're gonna get your fastest time. So yeah, like I said, I told you I was gonna beat the game here on one run without any retries, which really isn't that big of a deal, as I've done it so many times. But I did kind of suck there. If I was doing time trials or just racing, you know, practicing times, it would have been much better. But just kind of wanted to do the video because I love Wipeout so much, and it's been a minute since I've really gotten into it. Actually, on my save file, I'd forgotten that I didn't actually clear Rapier this time around. So this is my first clear on Rapier, which in this game, if you clear, you will unlock another track after Silverstream called Firestar. And this track is a fucking monster. I recommend really only using AG systems or Physar to get decent times on this. I'm going to use Oricom just for the hell of it this time. I'm going to fail miserably. But this track is very difficult and very technical. I still haven't found the perfect route to take on the two splits in the tracks, because either way you take them, the corners coming out of them are so tight that it doesn't. I don't think there's a faster way. I mean, there is only if you bounce around the corners, but that's very difficult to do. So again, it's just, you'll see at the beginning of this track here how brutal those corners are. I think I tend to usually stay to the left. Just, I don't know why, but like whenever there's a split in the track, I always want to go left. See what I mean by bouncing? If you could bounce around that first one, great. But as you see, as you come out of these splits right here, the corners are so tight that just a ship like Kyrex or Oricom almost has an impossible time getting through them properly, because their acceleration is so great, what their handling is not so great. So it's basically like you're not going to go fast enough you're not going to reach these ships' top speeds on this track really for that long of a period at all, because you have to constantly be slowing. You know, you have to slow down a little bit to get those turns right, or at least nose up a lot so you can steer better. So like I said, I think to get best times on this one, you're going to want to use Physar or Oricom, or Physar and AG systems. If you could race the tracks well with Physar and AG systems, I think you'll beat out an Oricom time or a Kyrex time, because I don't think that their speed difference is going to matter, because there's so much turning involved anyways that you're not going to really hit that top speed with those ships at any given time unless you're using a boost on a straight here. But it's a crazy track. The background is wild. You're like, it's all like volcanic and lava everywhere, and it's pretty wild. But yeah, I'm sucking at it, as you can see. It's a horrible sight to see, actually, me doing this. I might actually make a video just redeeming myself with Physar on this track, just tearing it up. Wait until you get to the third lap here. I actually get picked up by the wuss wagon that I was talking about earlier, and you'll see what I mean by how long it takes for you to actually get picked up by it. It's really shitty, and it makes you feel bad about yourself when it happens. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Wipeout, what an awesome racing series. It's been a huge part of my life, meeting new people. I actually essentially met my girlfriend through Wipeout. I had a really good friend that lived around here that we traveled together to play these tournaments, and I met her through him, you know, playing Wipeout. So, and now we live together. So thanks, Signosis and everybody involved, Tim Wright and all the players and everything that went into the game. Wuss wagon, there it is. Yeah, so thanks for that, because now we live together and we're very happy. Wipeout has brought us together. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, so I'm glad you guys watched and enjoyed. Again, if you guys liked it, please like it and comment it. Sub me if you want. I'm going to do some more Wipeout videos. I can't wait for Wipeout 2048. Vita's going to be awesome. 2040 is going to be awesome. Frosty out. Peace.